I think growing up in Chicago, we were so inspired by the DJs. A friend of mine bought some turntables and we were all meeting over to their house. And I come from a history of records because I started working at a record store at like 13, actually more like 11, and then became a buyer by 13 years old. So I was very familiar with the idea of records. So I think we were all kind of inspired to just play around with mixing, but never thought for a profession, for sure. I don't consider myself a DJ in the normal sense of being DJ. I would consider probably myself more of an inspired artist, inspired music selector. The difference is probably the road that most DJs take versus the road that I've taken in life. Most DJs are inspired by wanting to be a DJ. I never wanted to be a DJ, but I was inspired by DJs. And I'm not a crate digger, but I do work hard to select the music I want to play for the people. My master in music was Frankie Knuckles. So for me, being an impressionable kid at 16 years old, going to his club, The Warehouse, and having that whole experience just changed my life, for sure. Completely changed my life. So then were my earlier years of being inspired by the club culture. Back in my day of growing up, we had high school events, and so our earlier DJs were actually the earlier house DJs, which were the Farley Keefs, the Steve Hurleys, and the Jesse Saunders. These guys were doing our high school parties, so we were quite familiar with house from the onset. An uncle of mine and his friends talk about this place all the time, and hear them talk about this guy Frankie all the time, and I was really curious. I was like, who is this guy? And so I think I heard them talk about it for about 2 years before I had the opportunity to go. And wow. And then it was life-changing. It's not a job to me, for sure. It's my life. The person who you meet now is the person hopefully you're inspired through the music. I know this sounds really strange and I probably shouldn't be putting it on camera, but I have a thing. I think for me, if I don't like the man, I don't like the music. And he can be a great producer, but I have a thing that music is the creation and I'm the creator. I ought to always be greater than my creation. I want people to be inspired to the music, but when they meet me, I really want them to be inspired. For me, it's not for everyone. That's why I say different people come up through different ways, and so that's why I can't take the credit of being a DJ in that capacity because, that was not my journey. But do I love inspiring people? That's amazing. That's what keeps me doing, If I can say this on camera, I was on a plane going to New York to play an event that was just announced 2 days before it was going to happen. And I was on the plane, I was, just saying, okay, God, send me like all the people who are like dealing with depression or suicide. And so I get to New York, and so I'm at the promoter's house, and so I'm sharing them the story, and so the promoter wife comes, she said, you wouldn't believe this, and so she shows me a text that one of her friends texted her and told her that she had been sent to therapy, she was fighting depression, and she was so excited I was coming to town because she said seeing me was like having 6 months of therapy. And so for me, that was like the best high in the world of knowing, that was the best high knowing that there's something about the spirit of what you bring into the room of people that they feel, like they feel a bit more empowered, they feel a little bit more encouraged. Well, I think since the beginning of time, music has always had healing powers. And I think sometimes when people come to experience this moment and they're struggling with depression or they're struggling with things, I think it's a way for them to release it in this moment. So in this moment, if it's only for that moment that they don't have to think about it, and just in this moment that they feel free, I think it is so worth it. My whole life is passion. My life is passion, for sure. I love cooking, I love designing, I love creating. I love the art of creating something from nothing. Well, actually, I wanted to be a fashion designer before because I was always watching shows, fashion shows. I was always admired by the designers, and so I was thinking amazing name, Valentino, Gucci, and so I was always trying to say, I have to have a name, and so I really began to write the name, and then amazingly enough, we wrote the character, and then he came alive. It's usually home, and it's usually the kitchen. My philosophy has always been, music is like cooking. It's just ingredients that I like. I can make the same dish 100 times, but they're never the same, which is why music is also interesting as well, because you can keep creating and never create the same. So that's my safe place, is probably the kitchen. You're creating things and you're talking to yourself. And for me, my wife always says, "Oh, you having your show again?" "Oh, yeah, I'm having my TV show invisibly." And I'm making a dish and I'm talking to myself, and yeah, it's very therapeutic. There's a new lesson that I give out now to some people who I mentor now, and I tell them to probably pick 3 DJs that they really like and start to study them and start to see what is it that they don't have that they have, and try to implement what they have to find themselves in the game and to have a purpose. I think if I was just a person who just wanted to just play music, it would be boring to me. But I play music to change lives. I play music to inspire lives. And so if I was going to start today, I think there has to be a drive. These days, anyone can play music for sure. Anyone can mix music for sure. But can you affect and change a room? Can you bring people together? This is just my philosophy. But if I was going to be a DJ, I would have to have purpose.